The #1 most requested video on the channel was for the top gen rushing builds in Dead by Daylight, and I am here to deliver on that promise. And I was actually surprised when I put that poll out. I was not expecting gen rushing to be the top pick, but apparently you guys really want to see it, so let's get into my top 4 gen rushing builds for you guys. Build number 1. Build number 1 I am calling the Giant Toolbox build. And yes, a lot of these builds are actually going to be revolving around an item because it's hard to have a solid gen rushing build without actually bringing a toolbox in with you. There's a lot of perks in the game that boost your gen speed, but nothing boosts your gen speed quite as much as a good toolbox. So for the Giant Toolbox build, the build is actually based around the Commodious Toolbox. It gives you 32 charges and increases your repair speed by 50% and unlocks the sabotage action. Fun fact, with most of these toolboxes, you can actually sabotage hooks. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but you can do that. Wire spools will give you 12 extra charges on your toolbox. Great. Scraps, another 8. So we're adding 20 charges onto our already 32 charge toolbox for a grand total of 52 charges. This is a great start for our gen rushing build, but it gets even better with these perks. First of all, we're running Build to Last. This perk is incredible. Once your item is depleted, you can hide in a locker for 12 seconds and get 99% of the item charges back the first time you use this perk. So essentially, getting this toolbox all over again for a second use. And then, the next time you use this perk, you still get your charges back. It just gets, it's 33% less each time you use this perk. So the first time it's 99%, second time 66%, and the third time only 33%. So that second and that third time actually make up another 99%. So this perk lets you use your toolbox and the add-ons 3 times in a match, which is actually insane, guys. Like, this perk alone, which is this toolbox combination, is enough for a gen rush build, but it gets even better with the rest of our perks. Streetwise. Long Nights Out taught you to do a lot with what you got. Reduce item consumption rate by 25% to you and all allies within an 8-meter range. Once out of the range, this effect persists for 15 seconds, so that mainly applies to your allies. But what this is going to do is pretty much add 25% extra charges to our 52 charge Commodious Toolbox. This toolbox is literally going to last forever, guys. Like, I am kidding. I'm not lying when I said this is the Giant Toolbox build. You use these perks combined together, you are going to have a lot of time doing that 50% extra gen speed. But it gets even better, dudes, because we're using Prove Thyself. For each survivor working on the generator next to you, getting a 15% increase to repair speed bonus. This is enough to undo the debuff you get. I don't know if you know this, but if multiple people work on a generator without this perk, you actually get a little debuff to your gen speed as a whole. But this completely negates it by giving you 15% extra speed per survivor on the generator. Also, you get 100% more blood points for co-op actions, which is perfect. So yeah, why would we not use this in our already fast gen rushing build? And since we're going to be sitting our asses down on generators, working on generators the whole dang time, we're bringing situational awareness with us just for some fun. So what this perk will do is the generator you're working on will be lit up yellow to all survivors within 32 meters of your location. So the idea in theory is when you're working on a generator, it'll be lit up and your teammates will be able to see that generator lit up. So hopefully they come work on that generator with you, and then you'll get Prove Thyself value. Also, you get a little intel with situational awareness. The last thing this perk does is if the killer downs a survivor while you're repairing a generator, you'll see all survivors' auras for 10 seconds, which can help you with a lot of things. So you can tell if you're the closest to the hook and need to go for the rescue. You can see what everybody's doing. Are your teammates working on gens? Are they just dilly-dallying or lollygagging and being useless? It's good. It's free intel. No reason to not use it. And for the offering, we'll be bringing the... Actually, hold on. Just kidding. Let's get into the next build. The offering doesn't matter. Build number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than the Rapid Mine build. So, we're also using a toolbox. Now, if you want to use the Commodious Toolbox, that's acceptable here, but we're going to change things up a little bit and actually bring the Engineer's Toolbox with us. It has half the charges of the Commodious Toolbox, but lets you repair at twice the speed, because the Commodious was 50%, this one's 100%, but you only get your 16 charges. Also, we can sabotage with this, and this one sabotages a little faster than the Commodious Toolbox. So this build and this Toolbox would actually be a little better for getting sabotage saves if that opportunity does arise with you. Again, wire spools for 12 more charges, scraps for another 8, so 20 on top of 16. We will have a grand total of 36 charges on this Toolbox. Again, we are bringing build to last. I know we used that on the last build, but it is a really, really solid perk to use for these gen rushing builds, so that's why it's in this build as well, and the rest of the build. So we're rocking actually Sprint Burst. We have an exhaustion perk with this. This is going to let us run for 150% extra speed for 3 seconds, then we're exhausted for 40 seconds. This is going to help us out in chase, but the real reason we're using this is to pair with our other 2 perks of this build. Like I said, it's the Rapid Mine build. So we have 2 perks here that activate while we work on generators. The first one is Wiretap. Once we do 33% of a generator, after working on that generator for at least 3 seconds, we can install a Wiretap. This will actually make the generator light up, and also it will show the killer's aura within 14 meters of the generator. This will help you work on generators a little safer. If the killer comes up to you and your gen's somewhere close to where there's a lot of platforms to loop, or the killer shack, this can really help you loop very efficiently if you're working around your Wiretap gen. And then also, I said this makes your generator light up yellow, so you can actually use this to mark the generator you're working on, so hopefully your teammates come help you work on that generator as well. So kind of like the situational awareness thing a little bit, but just a different way of doing it. And then the other perk is Blast Mine. Also activates, but when we do 50% of a generator, not 33%, you have to do 50% for the Blast Mine. Same thing, after working on the gen for 3 seconds, we can put a mine on this generator. Now this perk is excellent, because what it does for 50 seconds is it protects your generator from being kicked, because Wiretap will deactivate if the killer kicks the generator, but if you put a Wiretap and a Blast Mine on it, then when the killer kicks the generator, the killer will be stunned and blinded, and then they will have to kick the generator a second time. And also the best part is that Wiretap reveals the killer's aura, so you literally just get a free front row ticket to watch the show. And the reason why we brought Sprint Burst is you're running to a generator, we're dumping our Toolbox into it, and why I like the Engineers here more than the Commodious is because it's 100% extra speed, which means you'll get both of these perks activated a lot quicker than you would the Commodious Toolbox. And then the idea is just keep working on gens, have these perks ready to go. If the killer ever comes to the gen you're working on, pop your Wiretap on it, pop your Blast Mine on it, and then run away with Sprint Burst. The killer will most likely not chase you if you take off with the Sprint Burst, and they'll just go straight to kick the gen, and then they get Blast Mine, and then you just do it all over again. Guys, the Rapid Mine build, oh, so sweet. Give it a try. We'll go into our build number 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, build number 3. We are finally stepping away from build to last because I wanted to introduce a little bit of variety in these builds. We are, however, still bringing a Toolbox with us, Commodious Toolbox, some scraps for 8 extra charges, changing the add-ons on a little bit just for fun. We have socket swivels, which will increase the Toolbox repair speed by 30%, but this build is based around Hyperfocus, the brand new Rebecca Chambers perk. You've probably heard of it. This is one of the trending builds right now, at least these two in combination with Stakeout. But let me discuss it for those of you who don't know what this perk does. Hyperfocus activates when you hit a great skill check. Hitting a skill check will grant you 1 token, up to 6 tokens. Each time you get a token, your chances of a skill check happening are increased by 4%. The speed the skill check comes is also increased by 4%. And the bonus progression for great skill checks is increased by 30% of the original value. If you don't already know, hitting great skill checks actually gives you a little bonus to your generator repair progress. And these effects stack 6 times. So each skill check you hit and each token you get will make more skill checks come, quicker skill checks come, but also you get a bigger and bigger and bigger bonus for each skill check. All tokens are lost if you miss a skill check or only get a good skill check. And that part of it, kind of a little rough, but this perk is really fun because it almost feels like playing slot machines on a generator. And the second perk really helps balance out Hyperfocus because sometimes hitting those great skill checks can be a little bit difficult and hard, and that's why we're bringing Stakeout with us. Stakeout. every 15 seconds you're within the killer's terror radius, you'll get a token, up to a maximum of 4 tokens. And what these tokens do is each time you hit a good skill check, instead of the great skill check, this will convert your good skill checks into great skill checks. It'll consume a token, so you have 4 tokens, so you have the potential to get 4 free great skill checks on your Hyperfocus, but also you get an extra 1% bonus to your generator repair progress with this perk. So if you have max stacks of Stakeout, guys, and Hyperfocus, or if you have max stacks of Stakeout and you go work on a gen, guys, you can hit 4 great skill checks and get a lot of value out of Hyperfocus. And also, pro tip, save your toolbox for one of those moments when you actually have max stacks of Stakeout and you just need to dump it all into gen and work as quick as possible, because the faster speed the toolbox buffs you actually kind of makes you get more skill checks quicker. It's something I've noticed, like the faster you do repair speed on generators, the more skill checks you get hit with. So this can kind of force the skill checks to come quicker. But that's not it, guys. This build gets even better because we're using Fast Track. Now, this is, you hear about Stakeout and Hyperfocus all the time, but very, very few people are actually talking about using Fast Track with everything. So Fast Track, whenever any of your other teammates is hooked, you get 3 tokens. And this stacks up to 27 times. So next time you work on a gen and you hit a great skill check, all of these tokens will be consumed. Each token gives you a 1% bonus progression to your great skill check repairing generators. Guys, this is nasty. Let's say you build up 3, 6, 9, 12 tokens because your team's getting hooked. Next time you hit a great skill check, which is pretty much guaranteed with Stakeout, you just get this massive fat chunk of a generator done, and oh my god, it's a beautiful thing, guys. Like, you just have to experience it in game, and when it works, oh my god, it's so freaking good. Last perk we're using with this version of our build is actually Deja Vu. Now, I do want to put a little disclaimer here. This last perk slot is fluid and it's open. Like, you could easily put Built to Last here if you want to reuse your toolbox and just have this be like an absolutely cracked build. But I wanted some variety, so I'm using Deja Vu. But also, if you would rather have a little something to help you in chase, feel free to use your favorite exhaustion perk. Dead Hard, Life, Sprint Burst. These are all good options, but for the sake of sticking with the Gen Rush theme, we're actually going to be taking Deja Vu with us. Or not with us, but when we play our games with these builds, we'll be using Deja Vu. So anyways, Deja Vu lights up the auras of the 3 closest generators to each other for 60 seconds at the start of the match. Each time a gen is done, these generators are revealed again. It'll keep showing you the 3 closest generators. And then if you have a map, you can track them. And if you work on those generators, you do so at a 5% boosted speed, which is great. So here's the best part about Deja Vu. This prevents 3 gen situations because you can always see the 3 closest generators to each other. So if you're always working on one of those 3 gens, you will make it to where the last 3 gens in the game are actually very well spaced apart. So this is a great perk for preventing 3 gens because you always know where the closest gens are together. So that way you know, okay, these are the gens I have to prioritize working on, because you do not ever want to leave those gens for the last gens to be done. So anyways, Deja Vu is my pick here, but feel free to use whatever perk you guys like. Let's hop into our 4th and final gen rushing build. The 4th and final build, guys, I'm calling the Hybrid Buddy build. So this build is kind of a little bit of a mesh-up of a lot of the builds we talked about earlier. It's kind of taking the best part of each one and putting it together, and the result is still a sick-ass gen rushing build. And I'm calling this the Buddy build, and I'll show you why here in a little bit, or I'll tell you why, rather. So anyways, same thing, Masquerade Toolbox. This is the Commodious Toolbox. Wire spools, socket swivels, extra speed, extra charges, great. Built to Last, we've discussed it. You know why we're rocking Built to Last. Prove Thyself, also we've discussed it. You know why we're rocking Prove Thyself. Hyperfocus and Stakeout. So we're not using Fast Track with this one. We're still sticking with Stakeout. We're still sticking with Hyperfocus. But this build actually works a little better because you can keep on reusing this toolbox with your Built to Last. So you get that extra speed. And why I'm actually using swivels here is because I want that 30% extra speed. So I ideally get a lot more skill checks quicker and quicker. Now, the reason why I'm calling this the Buddy build is because I am using Prove Thyself. Like we said, for each survivor working on a generator with you, you get a 15% boost to your speed, But why it's the buddy build is if you have a buddy or a friend that you're playing with, have them run the exact same build, built to last, Hyperfocus, Stakeout, Toolbox, whatever, but instead of them running Prove Thyself, because remember, you can only be affected by one Prove Thyself at a time, you have your buddy run none other than Streetwise for the 25% extra charges in your toolbox. And if you guys work on the gens together, even with just the two of you, you will shred these generators so ridiculously quick. Like, guys, like, just two people running this loadout is insane for any squad. And oh my god, God forbid you have a team of 4 people running builds similar to this. Like, you're gonna do some insane things. But for the purpose of this video, the buddy build. Guys, if you have a friend, and actually I was playing with my buddy the other day, and he was rocking Streetwise, same exact build, and I was rocking Prove Thyself, and we were shredding generators. Like I feel like we spawned together on one of the maps, and we started working on the gen together, and we finished it in like under a minute, guys. It was so quick. I mean, it was probably quicker than a minute. It felt like 40 seconds or something ridiculous like that. I don't have the actual math, but dudes, this is an insane loadout, guys. Now, before I actually conclude this video, I did want to give some honorable mentions to a couple perks here. And I was actually trying really hard to come up with like a gen rushing build without a toolbox or built to last in it. But they weren't really gen rushing builds. Like Deja Vu was a cool perk. Resilience is a cool perk because when you're injured, you do gens 9% quicker. And then Overzealous is also cool because, you know, you do your gens 8% quicker if you cleanse a totem, or 16% if it's a hex totem. But even the 16%, it's not really, nothing's going to be as fast as rocking a toolbox, and that's why a lot of these builds are toolbox based. But I stand by my decisions. These are great builds. You just need to make sure you have the items, and they're not that hard to get, guys. Just level up your blood web and you will get them with ease. Alright guys, so that concludes this episode of top 4 gen rushing builds, and if you're not already familiar with how the flow of things are on this channel, I will be using each of these builds in individual episodes coming in the next couple days / weeks, just depending on when I can get my gameplay in. So subscribe to the channel, guys, so you don't miss out on those videos when they drop. I will put the links into the description of all of these episodes coming out. So if you're watching this video a couple days after the release or a couple weeks later, most of those other videos should already be up. So feel free, check them out. The links are in the description, and I'll link one of them here at the end of this video if you want to start watching these awesome gen rushing videos in action. Anyways, guys, I enjoyed making this video. I'm ready to get out there and get some gameplay in. It's Halloween, it's spooky season. I'm super excited. And anyways, guys, I'm super grateful to each and every one of you. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I couldn't be more grateful. Anyways, guys, I'm out. Have an amazing day, and do not forget to smile.